Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Phillies Hot Stuff Vidcast. I'm Luke here, and today I'm joined by Jack. He's a Phillies fan. And Jack, if you want to introduce yourself.
What's up? I'm Jack.
And today we're going to be talking about the Phillies' first half and how they underachieved significantly. We're also going to be talking about how Bryce Harper has underachieved. And we're also going to be discussing how JT Realmuto was our only All-Star. So let's first talk about our first half of the season. We sit currently right now, we're in third place in the NL East. We are behind the Washington Nationals by half of a game. And I never would have expected this. We went 47 and 43. What do you think about the first half of the season compared to how hyped up we were at the beginning?
Yeah, in the beginning of the season, it was very everyone was like, oh, we actually have a shot to go far, maybe win the pennant. Now we're barely hanging on to the second wild card spot.
That is true. Yeah.
Definitely not as good. It's going as well as we expected.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. Do you think that why do you think that the Phillies have underachieved this year?
I think the main issue is pitching.
I agree.
And also Bryce Harper, you expect him to have a lot more power, there needs to be more runs.
Agreed. Yeah, that's one player that definitely has been inconsistent this year. That's Bryce Harper. His power numbers have went down somewhat. I'm hoping that he'll have a better second half. I'm hoping that he'll hit over 16 home runs in the second half. He posted the first half and only hit 16. So I'm hoping that he can maybe pick it up a little bit in the second half. Do you think he will?
Yeah, I think he will. And he's also not he's been striking out way too much. It's been all year.
Yeah, it has. It's been a big issue for him. We saw this in years past with him that he's had up and down seasons. Do you see him bouncing back next year?
I mean, there's 13 years. His contract's 13 years. So at one point, he's gonna start getting a groove.
I agree with you. I hope you're right. What do you make of Aaron Nola this year? He really struggled the first part of the season. He's kind of started to find his groove.
Yeah, he's really the first few starts weren't what we expected, but last three, I think. I think I might be wrong, so correct me if I am, but the last two starts, then he had a no-hitter going into the fifth or sixth inning.
I know his last start he did, but I'm not too sure about this other start. I'm going to have to check that. But, I mean, we're only 4 games above 500, and we should be doing much better with the roster we've had. We've had a lot of injuries, and McCutchen went down. And do you see this Phillies team making the playoffs? I mean, right now we're in the second. We hold the second seeded wild card. The Washington Nationals hold the first seed.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think they also need to do moves at the deadline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not going to be easy fighting with the Washington Nationals and the Milwaukee Brewers. But I do think they'll be able to get it done. What pitcher do you see the Phillies going after at the deadline?
Oh, they definitely need a veteran arm there.
Yeah, a couple names that kind of go on the charts are a Bumgarner, a Matthew Boyd, or something like that. I don't really see the Phillies going after Bumgarner.
The Bull Hamels rumors.
Possible. The Cubs are in contention, so I don't know if they're willing to deal him. That would be interesting. I definitely think we have a shot at reacquiring him in the off season. But I don't really see it. I don't really think Bumgarner is a realistic option for the Phillies because he's just. I don't think the Phillies are going to willing to give up all that price for him because the Phillies don't really, like I said, 4 games above 500. They lost McCutchen for the rest of the year. They had a lot of injuries, and is it really worth giving up all those prospects? And then you lose Bumgarner free agency. He's with another team, and then all these prospects are in San Francisco thriving, and you have nobody left. You agree with me?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you on that because he also you'd just be used to be a rent for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's like what the Dodgers did with Machado last year. They obviously they made it to the World Series, but now Machado's gone, and they just spent a huge much of their farm system on him, and they don't even have Machado anymore. So I just don't. I'm not a big fan of acquiring rental players. So I don't really think that is a good idea for the Phillies. I think like a guy like a Matthew Boyd, like someone like a below the market type of guy, like kind of like not like the top tier pitcher, I think is a more realistic option. I don't think they should go head over heels. I said this before. I don't think they should be going head over heels for a pitcher because they're just only 4 games above 500. It's not like they're tearing it up.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you see the second half of the season going? Do you see them turning it around?
Yeah, I did see them turning it around.
Yeah, they kind of have to. But what was that?
There's a lot of time.
There is. So one guy that has been pretty good this year has been JT Realmuto behind the plate. He has a 273 batting average. He was our only All-Star. He's had a very, very nice season. So what do you make of JT Realmuto's season, first year in Philly?
He's been scoring very well. And I saw the other day he's spending the rest of his career in Philly. So I would definitely offer the man what he wants.
I would agree. I think that I definitely think he'll be locked down in Philly.
Right.
I think that the thing I look at it is that like he's only like 28 years old and he has a lot of years left in front of him. Obviously, he's a catcher, so you got to keep that in mind. Maybe he's a first baseman down the line, but I think he's had a very, very solid career, and I think he's a great guy in the clubhouse. He's very chill and low key, and I'm really excited if we could keep him for the season. What type of contract, if the Phillies do lock him down, what type of contract do you see it being? Like a 7 to 8 year type of deal?
7 to 8 year.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Now, other teams in our division this year, if we talk about the New York Mets, obviously New York Mets are a complete joke. They went out and made a lot of bad moves this offseason, and they're completely out of it. Why we shouldn't even talk about them. But, two teams that we've kind of are with right now are the Nationals and the Braves. Now, the Nationals were 11 games under 500 at one point in the season, and they've really turned it around now. Like I said, they hold the first seed in the wild card. So do you think that the Nationals are 47 and 42? Do you think the Washington Nationals are a threat? I'm starting to think that.
No, I don't think they have like the pieces they need to be like a playoff team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, right now they're a threat right now.
They'll slow down for sure.
Yeah, they will slow down. But as of right now, as I speak, they are a bit of a threat because they're ahead of us right now. But I do think they'll slow down.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Atlanta Braves, they were 6.5 games back. I still think the Phillies might get a wild card spot. Do you see the Phillies keeping up with the very young and good Atlanta Braves?
It's gonna be tough. Like 6.5 games is kind of it's like a lot to overcome that. So.
Yeah, and I think the Braves overall, I think they have a better. They have better prospects. I think they're overall a better team than we are. It pains me to say that, of course, but they have a great young outfielder, Ronald Acuna Jr. They have a very good first baseman, Freddie Freeman. They just got this young kid, Austin Riley, and even though he's a bit overrated in my opinion, I do think Ozzie Albies is a solid second baseman. Do you think that the Braves are overall a better team than we are?
I do not believe they are, due to the fact that like most of the Phillies have not been performing like to their standards. So.
Yeah, I think we're a better team on paper, but if you look at, I think it's debatable. I think it can go either way. I think that I've seen this a lot on social media recently. People are debating, who's better, the Phillies or the Braves. I think it can go either way. I think that we spent a lot more money than the Braves this offseason, but the Braves they haven't had that many injury problems. I mean, they really haven't. I mean, all their guys have really stayed healthy. I'm not trying to make excuses for the Phillies necessarily, but all I'm saying is that the Phillies have had the injury problem. What was that?
Bolton has been like a lot of injuries.
Oh, yeah, it's been terrible. I mean, David Robertson was supposed to come back like early July, and he's not even back yet. So I don't know what's going on with our bullpen. It's really, really been a disaster. And I'm hoping that Matt Klentak at the deadline can go out and make a move. Like I said, I do not want him to go head over heels, but they have to do something. They can't just leave the roster like they did last year. Do you remember last year when they didn't even go out and try to get another starting pitcher? Boy, that backfired, didn't it? I mean, the pitchers, you saw it in the last 2 months of the season, it really backfired on the Phillies, and they were a dumpster fire in August and September. What was that?
Yeah, that was not.
It was ugly.
Great.
It was ugly. So, do you think that the Phillies will have learned from their mistake? You think they're gonna like?
Yeah, they'll definitely make a move.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, they have to. There's no option, and the fan base would go absolutely crazy if they didn't. So, obviously, the Phillies play the Washington Nationals tomorrow night. The last time the Phillies and Nationals dueled, the Nationals swept out the Phillies in a 3-game set. Do you see the Phillies taking 2 out of 3 here? We have Steven Strasburg versus Pivetta game 1, and we have Patrick Corbin versus Aaron Nola game 2. We're going against a lot of good pitchers. And on the third day, we have Max Scherzer going against Jake Arrieta, but it's unclear if Jake Arrieta is going to pitch, but it looks like he will. But right now, it's just to be determined. But that's his spot, and we're going against Scherzer. So we got Strasburg, Corbin, and Scherzer. That's a 1-2-3 punch right there. What was that?
It's a tough load of pitchers.
It is, and I'm a little bit concerned. I still think we might take 2 out of 3, but I'm going to the game on Sunday to go see Max Scherzer pitch. And
in Washington?
That is in Philly. Yeah. That is in Philly.
Yeah,
it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. Washington has a lot of good pitchers. On Saturday, I think we have a good chance of winning because we have Noah on the mound. I think he'll be good. But Scherzer on Sunday, Strasburg tomorrow. That's not going to be
2 out of 3.
What was that?
I definitely see us taking 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I do too. I think that I think Bryce Harper is going to have a big series because he's playing the Nationals, and I think he'll have a little bit of a. He always gives it us all, but I think he'll have an extra pep in his step. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Saw that first series against Washington here.
Yeah. So, Pivetta enters tomorrow night's game with a 4-3 record, 5.84 ERA. So, I'm going to ask you about Pivetta. Nick Pivetta? We all went into the season saying Pivetta breakout and everything, and he had a lot of high expectations. He hasn't been that pitcher. So, what do you make of Nick Pivetta?
I just don't think he's a great pitcher.
Mediocre.
I didn't see all the hype what that was for.
I would definitely agree with you on that. So the New York Mets, obviously, like I said, are now 10 games under 500. And this is going to be our last topic we're going to talk about today. The New York Mets are 10 games under 500, and they're just way out of it. Do you see them trying to go for it again next year, or do you think that they're just done? Do you think they're just going to try to blow it up and rebuild their roster?
That's a tough question because they got that young guy, Pete Alonso, who just won the Derby.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of Rhys Hoskins that 1 year, the first year.
Yeah, he's gone absolutely crazy. But I think that every year the Mets just try to go for it again, and they just continue to fail every single time. So I think it eventually comes to a point where I think the Mets just have to say enough is enough, and I think they're just going to have to just blow it up and rebuild. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I think that might happen next few years, 2 years. They might try again next year.
They might. Yeah. I don't really consider the Mets to be a threat the next couple of years. Yeah.
Biggest threat down the line is for sure going to be Atlanta.
Yeah, they're going to be a pain in the butt. Yeah, for sure. So, Jack, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. What was that? You cut out.
Anytime.
Oh yeah, thank you. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like the video. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Tell your friends about these videos. And I will see you next time.